Hello, this is Ruslan Belov. We continue to analyze the situation on the front lines. Before we begin, I'd like to sincerely ask you to subscribe to the channel. Your subscription helps the channel grow. Thank you to everyone who has already subscribed. Let's open the map. So friends, yesterday was a bad day for the Ukrainian armed forces on multiple fronts. The most alarming developments for them came from the Sumy region, where it was officially announced yesterday that Basovka, the village located here, has come under Russian control. Now, there had been reports earlier that the village was taken, but those were later refuted. However, this is now an official statement. Additionally, footage has emerged confirming that the village is fully under the control of the Russian army. Of course, remnants of the defeated Ukrainian garrison might still be hiding in basements on the southern outskirts, but they no longer influence anything. Even if they wanted to escape, they simply can't. So it's either surrender or, well, I've posted footage on my Telegram channel showing what happens to those who refuse to surrender. You can check it out, the link is in the description. Returning to Basovka, I'll add that not just the village, but also the entire eastern territory, this pocket here, is now under full control. Now, after Basovka was finally secured following weeks of fighting, the first clashes began on March 13th, meaning over 3 weeks of combat. Further advances are expected. The next move is toward Lochnia. The distance between the villages is just 2 kilometers, and yesterday the first reconnaissance and sabotage groups were already spotted on the northern outskirts of Lochnia. This is the first major warning sign because Lochnia is essentially the gateway to Yunakivka. The two villages are closely linked. You can see here that Yunakivka and Lochnia are practically one and the same. So, fighting for Lochnia will essentially mark the beginning of the battle for Yunakivka itself. I remember how, just a month ago, people in the comments were saying that the maximum the Russian army could achieve in all of 2025 was capturing Yunakivka in the Sumy region, and that was supposedly their absolute limit. Well, I'd like to see those people now because Yunakivka is already within reach. Let's measure it, less than 4 kilometers away. Clearly by May, the fighting will already be there. But it's not just the approaches to Yunakivka where the Ukrainian forces are struggling. Look here. It's so obvious that even Ukrainian maps don't dispute who controls this settlement. They only argue about full versus partial control, but that's standard for them. For example, take the village of Vladimirovka. It has also come under Russian control. Ukrainian maps deny this, but in a couple of days, they'll probably color it the right way. Plus, from Zhuravka, also under Russian control, movement has already begun toward the settlement of Belovody. And it's important to understand that the offensive in the Sumy region is being carried out by a very limited contingent, not a full-scale army operation with massive amounts of equipment. No, these are guys on quad bikes. And on these quad bikes, they've already taken control of 5 villages and over 50 square kilometers, just in this sector alone. Let's measure it. Roughly 6 by 6, so about 36 square kilometers here. But as I said at the beginning, yesterday was a bad day for the Ukrainian armed forces on multiple fronts. Now, let's move on to the next topic. Regarding the Kursk region, I'll keep it brief since the combat zone is small, specifically 2 villages, Oleshnya and Guevo. Fighting for Oleshnya began yesterday. Updates on progress are still pending since contact with our guys there has been lost, for obvious reasons. But the last known update was that they entered the village from the north, from the side of the border checkpoint in the Sumy region, which was also recently liberated. So for now, we're waiting for updates when our guys re-establish contact. As for Guevo, not only is the northeastern part under control, but the entire area up to the center, including the village administration building, has been liberated. This is confirmed information. In fact, they may have advanced even further, since yesterday they managed to evacuate civilians from Guevo. By the way, this is precisely why progress here is slow. The village has many civilians because Guevo was one of the first villages to fall under Ukrainian occupation, and no one had time to leave when the AFU, Armed Forces of Ukraine, invaded Kursk region. Overall, the news is positive. The liberation of territory continues. Our soldiers are fulfilling their sacred duty, and at least I hope, by May 9th, Victory Day, Not a single AFU soldier will remain on the territory of Kursk or Belgorod regions, or any of our land. Now, moving on. The AFU is also facing problems in Kharkiv region, primarily around the Dvureknaya bridgehead, as the rest of the Kharkiv front remains static. There are occasional minor movements, 100 to 200 meters, but discussing them isn't worth it yet. Here, however, the situation is the opposite: steady, stable advances. In particular, fighting is currently ongoing for Kamenka. Moreover, the AFU has already been pushed off the heights surrounding the village, meaning they're now defending from low ground. As a result, their losses here are enormous. Despite this, they're still trying to reinforce with reserves to hold the village, because losing it would affect the entire sector. I explained exactly how in yesterday's report. Additionally, a Ukrainian source confirmed that the AFU has lost control of Kondrashovka. The same source claims that not only Kondrashovka, but also Malaya Shapkovka has been lost, with Russian reconnaissance units reportedly reaching as far as Gusinka, a village 10 kilometers from the front line. In short, the holes in the AFU's defenses here are significant. They're trying to plug them, but without much success, because their defenses are collapsing not just here, but also, for example, near Dnipropetrovsk region, and they simply don't have enough reserves to cover all these gaps. As for the reports about Malaya Shapkovka, I personally doubt them. I haven't seen confirmation yet, but Kondrashovka is highly likely. Fighting there has been ongoing for days, and Ukrainian chats are flooded with panicked, hysterical messages. So clearly things are going very badly for the AFU. The real question is, what happens next? Is the army preparing to storm Kupiansk, or will they push west toward Mezhrechye? I think we'll get the answer closer to May. And of course, I can't ignore the Dnipropetrovsk sector. Ukrainian experts long insisted nothing will happen. They won't reach Dnipropetrovsk, don't worry. But yesterday I saw a different narrative. Now they're preparing the public for a Russian advance, claiming the situation is under control. Under whose control? I don't know. The main progress yesterday was recorded between Andreevka and Alexievka. If you recall, this is where a recent breakthrough occurred with a mechanized column. At the time, they advanced 2 kilometers from Andreevka, but yesterday, control expanded even deeper. Now, as you can see, the front line is right up against Alexievka's eastern outskirts. And once it falls, the entire sector will collapse. The AFU will cling to it desperately, but no matter how hard they try, they won't be able to hold the line and prevent the Russian army from entering Dnipropetrovsk region. That much is obvious. Desertion in the AFU, March 2025. It's now known how many criminal cases have been opened against AFU servicemen under Articles 407 and 408 of Ukraine's Criminal Code, desertion. The numbers have slightly decreased compared to previous months, but not by much. January 2025, 18,145 soldiers. February 2025, 17,809 soldiers. March 2025, 16,349 soldiers. No matter how you spin it, these are huge numbers. The slight drop can be attributed to the relative lull in fighting last month, when major battles were happening in Kursk region, where desertion was nearly impossible. Or rather, deserters there ended up as missing in action, since the only way out was surrender. I expect the number of official deserters to rise again in April. And remember, these stats don't even include all cases. Many AFU soldiers, when trapped but unwilling to surrender, simply disappear into the countryside, while their units list them as missing. Ukrainian media even ran an article in March about how such cases are becoming more and more widespread. Even veterans are now abandoning their posts because they're fed up. And this is especially damaging for the AFU. Meanwhile, AFU losses at the front increased in March compared to earlier months, due to the defeat near Sudzha, while recruitment continues to lag. Despite the new campaign targeting 18 to 24-year-olds, only a few thousand have been mobilized in 2 months. Currently, Ukraine is managing to recruit fewer than 30,000 soldiers per month, while irreversible losses, including deserters, consistently exceed 50,000 per month. In absolute terms, the Zelensky regime's army is shrinking at an alarming rate. Even the prisoner recruitment program has flopped. official data shows only 8,000 convicts mobilized in the past 8 months. As for returning deserters, don't even bother. Only 343 were brought back in Q1 2025. The rest vanished into the void of Country 404, Ukraine. And why wouldn't they? Nobody's even looking for them. There are too many cases, and if they make it back to family, their status is no different from draft dodgers. So those who can run, do. And the AFU, slowly but surely, keeps weakening. And in my opinion, this process is now irreversible. Germany wants its gold back from the US over Trump's policies. According to Politico, Germany is seeking to repatriate 1,200 tons of gold, worth 113 billion euros, stored in the US due to concerns over Donald Trump's policies. German conservatives argue that America is no longer a reliable partner. Germany holds the second-largest gold reserves in the world, with 37% stored in the US-Russia ramps, up military production. In March, Russia hit a record artillery shell production of up to 170,000 units per month, alongside accelerated output of T-90 tanks and modernized armored vehicles. Bloomberg reports that over 800 new armored vehicles have been delivered to the Russian army in the past 6 months. A new drone factory has opened in Khabarovsk, operating 3 shifts daily, while logistics shipments to the southern front have surged since early spring. Ukraine faces Western aid cuts. Against this backdrop, Ukraine is again discussing reductions in Western military aid. The Pentagon admits its stockpiles are depleted, and a new US Congress aid package remains blocked. Poland and the Czech Republic have signaled limited resources for further support. Ukraine's general staff claims a shift to defensive operations, but the word shortage is increasingly heard in Kyiv. As reported by Telegram channel Cartel, the clouds are darkening over Bankova Street, Ukraine's presidential office, and Zelensky's policies edge closer to collapse. Trump condemns witch hunt against Marine Le Pen. US President Donald Trump demanded the release of French politician Marine Le Pen from arrest, condemning the witch hunt orchestrated by France's left wing against her. Trump declared freedom for Marine Le Pen, Zrania calling her detention another example of European leftists weaponizing the law to suppress free speech and censor political opponents. This is so bad for France and the great French people, no matter which side they are on, Trump wrote on his social media page. He added that while he doesn't know Le Pen personally, he greatly respects her years of hard work. That's all for today's Frontline Update. Subscribe to the channel and stay tuned.